a very extended discussion, very significant issue. Is there any further help or input from the people sitting in the audience at this time? Further council discussion? And I believe this requires a 4/5 vote. Roll call.
Councilmember Landis.
Yes.
Thomas.
Aye.
Crane.
Aye.
Roden.
Yes.
Mayor Baldwin.
Yes.
Thank you for your work on this.
Moving on to item 10B.
I've got a question, a sort of comment question or process question. Mr. Erickson, you said that this matter came before us a couple months ago, and I think your phrase was it didn't go through. And in retrospect, that those kinds of things, in my opinion, would need to go through, and whether it was us that dragged our feet or you didn't jump up on the table and scream enough, you know, I don't know where it went wrong on this one, but it needs not to go. This kind of thing, if there's proactive stuff that we need to be doing and we're not, and you know it, then would you please let us know in terms that we can't ignore?
Okay, we don't want to get into another agenda, creating an agenda item here, but one more comment.
This relates to some other points that I think are important. We need more data points to define future well fields. I think that's a fair statement. And the 4 that you've suggested certainly help us do that. Are you aware of any other areas or opportunities we have currently, while we have someone engaged to do this, to help us develop that information, that additional information?
No, I'm not. These locations for testing that we've discussed at this time, I believe, would be the best places, and I'm not aware of any that would meet all the criteria that we're looking for in addition to these.
One does occur to me.
Okay.
It's another one on the land we own on the east side of the freeway. If we use 800 feet or 1,000 feet or 1,200 feet as cone of depression, a pair of cones, it's about 1,700 feet from the Rainy to the southwest corner of the ball field parcel, as, again, based on Google Earth. The site that you and Mr. Jameson spoke about is somewhat closer to the Rainy. Would it be worth checking that out at the same time?
That's the site that
I'm pushing.
No, I agree with you.
All the way into the
exactly
corner.
That's the site that I would test at, the
Okay.
site that you're describing.
All right.
And I agree with you. I think that's would give us our best chance at that location. We'd want to move it as far as we could from the river and try to sort of hopefully hit the same water-bearing layer that we did on the other side. So, yes.
Well, part of what causes me to ask this question, Mr. Erickson pointed out a willingness or an interest on the part of RHDC. Thinking about if the current site that we're talking about on the west side of the freeway, if that does not pan out, and we do make something work with RHDC, what's the distance from there to the Rani or well 5? Is there room between those two for another well in the future that gives us suitable clearance?
Councilmember Crane, I'm going to suggest that you get together with staff and discuss the possible sightings? Because we're sort of moving into almost an entirely
Well,
separate
what this might
agenda
lead
item.
to is offering up or instructing staff to look in more than just those 4 places. That's
And
the reason for
you
bringing it up.
are a resident lay expert, and I encourage you
That's what I
to,
did for the last 2 weeks was lay, so, yeah.
to help staff make sure that we bore in the right places.
As opposed to here.
Moving on to the next agenda item, which is item 10B, discussion and possible direction regarding Orchard Avenue Bridge Construction Project, agreement between the City of Ukiah and the County of Mendocino. Again, another absolutely crucial item for discussion. City Manager Chambers, you want to introduce this item?
Yes, this is coming back before the council because we had our direction that I understood from our January 7th meeting that we would go out to bid on this project as soon as we received an agreement back from the county that in turn was to have agreement with some landowners in the area. And the agreement had been drafted by the city attorney several months ago and has been in the hands of the county and the property owners, and they have gone through a process of a lot of questions about it and concerns. We have shared the plans and specifications with the county public works director as well as with the owners. We've attempted to answer questions and issues and had a meeting last week to hammer out some more issues, which was primarily about the 10% contingency amount that was felt that the 20% was too high. And so I'm back before you to see if the council wants to approve a reduction from the 20% to the 10%, then the next step we need to make, I did not feel that I should modify the city attorney's agreement more than that until he is back and able to work with me on it. And my proposal is that we will go into more discussions with the county and the owners and see if we can fashion an agreement that will allow us to go out to bid. The key issue is really about the coverage of any additional costs that exceed the engineer's estimate. And my recommendation to the council is just to acknowledge that we want to avoid being in the position of having an award to make on this project without a full understanding of where any additional funds are going to come from. The county and the owners are pretty adamant that the engineer's bid is probably going to be met on this project because of some favorable bidding conditions, and we would agree with that. Our issue is, if it doesn't, we want the council to be fully aware that we will either have to find those funds from the owners or the county or put them into the project ourselves. So I do intend to go forward with those additional 3 steps that I outlined for recommended action, and I'm hopeful that with the city attorney's assistance that we can get agreement within the next couple of weeks to bring back to the council for your consideration if it has components that are significantly different than what has already been outlined.
Councilmember Crane.
I understand that ownership has agreed to contribute by virtue of a letter of credit $100,000 instead of the $80,000. I advocate that we encourage the county to accept that letter of credit and that we insist upon a guarantee from the county, which was our instruction. Based upon the 5% contingency that was in the estimate that was done by I believe the design firm, and the additional $100,000, I'm comfortable with